The last call of the fireworks stand came just as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that danced eerily across the pavement. I should have known something was off when the voice on the other end of the line whispered my name, sending a chill down my spine. It was the 4th of July, a day filled with excitement and anticipation. I had taken a summer job at the local fireworks stand, a small, rickety structure that smelled of gunpowder and cheap plastic. The air was thick with the scent of summer, mingling with the faint aroma of sizzling hot dogs from a nearby vendor. "Yes," I replied cautiously, glancing around the empty lot. "Can I help you?" As the day wore on, families flocked to the stand, their laughter and chatter creating a lively atmosphere. But as night fell, the excitement began to wane and the crowd thinned. My heart raced as I squinted to see better, but the figure remained just out of reach of the light. I called out, "Can I help you?" But there was no response. The figure simply stood there, unmoving, as if waiting for something. I demanded, but the line went dead. I stared at the phone, my mind racing. The phone rang again, and I jumped, my heart pounding. I picked it up, half expecting the same voice, but this time it was different, a frantic, panicked tone. Was this some kind of prank? I shook my head, trying to dismiss the feeling of dread creeping in. I felt my breath hitch in my throat, and I glanced back at the figure, which had moved closer, now standing just outside the light. I could see its face, pale and gaunt, eyes wide with terror. I had a job to do, and I couldn't let some strange call ruin my night. I was alone in the stand, the flickering fluorescent lights casting a harsh glow over the rows of colorful fireworks. The sound of distant laughter faded into the background, replaced by the occasional rustle of leaves in the warm breeze. I was just about to close up when the phone rang, its shrill tone cutting through the silence like a knife. "I need you to listen carefully. There's something you need to know about the fireworks." I picked it up, expecting a customer, but instead, I heard a low, raspy voice. The voice continued, its tone growing more urgent. "You shouldn't sell them. Not tonight. They're not what you think." "Is this the fireworks stand?" it asked, the voice dripping with an unsettling calmness. I hesitated, my heart racing. There was a pause, and then the voice whispered my name again, sending a shiver down my spine. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. "What do you mean?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Confusion washed over me. "What are you talking about?" As I prepared to close the stand, I noticed a figure standing at the edge of the lot, shrouded in darkness. I felt a chill run down my spine, and I quickly turned back to the stand, trying to shake off the unease. "Get out of there. You have to leave now," the voice screamed. "They're coming for you." "Who's coming?" I asked, my voice trembling. The smell of grilled meat wafted through the air, mingling with the laughter of friends and the crackling of the fire. But something felt off, like a shadow lurking just beyond the flickering light. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I couldn't shake the feeling that this would be the last barbecue I ever attended. It was a warm summer evening, the kind that made you want to linger outside, soaking in the fading light. I had invited a few close friends over for a casual get-together in my backyard, a tradition we had kept for years. The grill was fired up, and the sound of sizzling burgers filled the air, accompanied by the clinking of beer bottles and the soft hum of music playing in the background. The laughter faded, replaced by an unsettling stillness that hung in the air. They shook their heads, but I could feel the tension rising. I forced a laugh, but it felt hollow. The fire crackled louder, and I felt the heat on my face, but the chill in the air was undeniable. Just then, a rustling sound came from the woods, sharp and sudden, like something, or someone, was moving through the underbrush. My heart raced as I turned to look, but the darkness revealed nothing. The figure didn't respond. It just stood there, watching us with an unsettling stillness. My friends exchanged nervous glances, and I could see the fear reflected in their eyes. I glanced around at my friends, their faces illuminated by the firelight, confusion etched on their features. Everything seemed perfect, but as the sun set, an unsettling chill crept into the atmosphere. I glanced out the window, half expecting to see that figure again, but the darkness remained still. Hours I felt a jolt of panic surge through me, and I stumbled back, nearly tripping over a log. The music flickered back to life, but it felt distorted, like a warped record playing in the background. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, the adrenaline coursing through my veins. "What do you want?" I shouted, but the figure remained silent, its gaze unwavering. "What is that?" she whispered, pointing. I followed her gaze, and my blood ran cold. The figure was back, closer this time, standing just at the edge of the trees, its outline more defined against the darkness. As we gathered around the fire pit, I noticed a strange figure standing at the edge of the woods bordering my yard. But before anyone could respond, the figure stepped forward, revealing a gaunt face, pale and hollow, with eyes that seemed to glow in the firelight. We hurried into the house, locking the door behind us, but the feeling of dread lingered. We tried to shake it off, laughing nervously as we recounted the night's events, but the unease hung in the air like a thick fog. A chill swept through the group, and I could feel the air grow heavy with dread. It was just a silhouette, but something about it sent a shiver down my spine. I squinted, trying to make out any details, but the darkness swallowed everything beyond the flickering light. I felt myself relax, but every so often, I would glance toward the woods, half expecting to see that figure again. It was as if the darkness was watching us, waiting for the right moment to strike. I shook my head, trying to dispel the thought. It was just a barbecue, after all. I brushed it off as my imagination, convincing myself it was just a trick of the shadows. "Hey, are you okay?" my friend Sarah asked, noticing my distraction. I forced a smile and nodded, but the figure lingered in my mind, a nagging thought that wouldn't let go. I tried to focus on the laughter and the warmth of the fire, but the unease settled deeper, like a weight in my stomach. As the night wore on, the laughter grew louder, and the drinks flowed freely. Then, as the fire crackled and the embers glowed, the music suddenly cut out, plunging us into an eerie silence. "Did you guys hear that?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Probably just a raccoon or something," Jake said, trying to lighten the mood, but I could see the unease in his eyes. As I turned back to the group, I noticed Sarah staring intently at the woods, her expression shifting from confusion to fear. "Guys, I think we should go inside," I suggested, my voice trembling slightly. "Who are you?" I called out, my voice shaking. Suddenly, the figure raised a hand, pointing directly at me. Then, without warning, it turned and vanished into the darkness, leaving us in stunned silence. "Let's just go inside," I urged, my voice barely above a whisper. As the night wore on, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. The parade was supposed to be a celebration, but as the floats rolled by, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. The laughter of children and the cheerful music felt like a mask, hiding a darkness that lurked just beneath the surface. I stood on the curb with my friends, the smell of popcorn and cotton candy wafting through the air, mingling with the faint scent of sweat and sunscreen. But as the float passed, I caught a glimpse of the figure's face. It was pale, gaunt, with hollow eyes that seemed to bore into my soul. I turned to my friends, but they were too engrossed in the festivities to notice. I took a step back, my heart racing, and that's when I heard it, a low, haunting whisper that seemed to echo in my mind. "Help me." I tried to shake off the unease, convincing myself it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. The voice was soft, almost pleading, and it sent a shiver down my spine. I looked back at the figure, and for a brief moment, I thought I saw its lips move, forming the words I had just heard. As I neared the edge of the crowd, I glanced back one last time. The figure was gone, but the air felt heavy, charged with an unseen presence. I stumbled into the alley beside the street, gasping for breath, trying to shake off the feeling of being watched. "Did you hear?" she asked, her voice trembling. "They found a body in the river, a woman dressed in old clothes. They think she's been missing for years." Panic surged through me, and I turned to leave, but the crowd was thick, and I felt trapped. I leaned against the cool surface, trying to calm my racing heart. But then I heard it again, the whisper, clearer this time. "Help me." The town had been preparing for this parade for weeks, and the excitement was palpable. The cheerful tunes had morphed into something eerie, a cacophony of jarring notes that made my skin crawl. I started hearing whispers in the quiet moments, echoes of that haunting voice. I tried to forget, but the image of that figure lingered in my mind, a ghostly reminder of something I couldn't understand. The crowd began to cheer again, but their faces were twisted, smiles too wide, eyes gleaming with an unsettling light. I felt a sense of dread wash over me, and I knew I had to get out. Just the echo of the parade fading into the distance. I felt a cold sweat trickle down my back, and I knew I had to leave. As I stepped back onto the street, the parade was still going, but it felt different, like a dream I couldn't wake up from. But as the first float approached, I noticed something odd, a figure standing at the edge of the crowd, dressed in tattered clothing, watching intently. It was a hot July afternoon, the kind that made the asphalt shimmer and the air thick with anticipation. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the light, a shadow cast by the bright sun. As the parade continued, I couldn't help but glance back at the figure. Confused murmurs rippled through the spectators as the last float. A massive, ornate creation adorned with stars and stripes came to a halt. The driver, a local man known for his jovial spirit, looked bewildered, glancing around as if searching for an explanation. But it was the figure that caught my attention again. It had moved closer, now standing just behind the last float, its eyes locked onto me. It hadn't moved. It was still there, standing motionless, as if waiting for something. I felt a chill run down my spine, and I tried to focus on the colorful floats and the cheerful music, but the laughter around me began to fade into a dull roar. The vibrant colors of the parade felt muted, overshadowed by the growing sense of dread. Then, something strange happened. The music abruptly stopped, and the crowd fell silent. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me, and I turned to my friends, but they were still oblivious, laughing and chatting as if nothing was amiss. I froze, my breath hitching in my throat. Suddenly, the music started again, but it was different, distorted, like a record skipping. I pushed my way through the throng, my heart pounding in my chest. The alley was dark and narrow, the sounds of the parade muffled by the brick walls. I turned, scanning the shadows, but there was nothing there. Days passed, and the parade became a distant memory, but I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. Then, one night, I received a call from a friend who had been at the parade with me. My heart sank as I realized the truth. The figure I had seen, the voice I had heard, it was her.